Well, good evening, everyone. I am Mitzi Williams from Nottingham Trent University, and I just want to use this opportunity this evening to extend a warm welcome to all of you to this, our second roundtable, which will be co-hosted with Miss Nadia Whittome MP. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking the time out to support us on such an important matter as the curriculum in our schools. Now, just a little bit of housekeeping before we begin. We all live in the Zoom world now and might have become experts in online interaction. And so I believe most of us understand the importance of limited distractions. So this is just a gentle reminder that I ask you to keep yourselves on mute unless you're required to speak. Yes? So like many of you this afternoon, these issues are important to me because it gives us an opportunity where we can take an honest and an open look at the things which work in our curriculum and tweak those things. It gives us an opportunity to look at what does not work so well in order to make improvements and changes for the betterment of our children, our education system. Or I believe that our curriculum is the vehicle through which young minds are trained and transformed. And for that, it is important for us to come around the table on such an important issue such as this evening. I'll now hand over to my co-host, Charlotte.
Hi everyone, hello. My name's Charlotte and I work at Nottingham Contemporary, and these issues matter to me because every child and every student, every young person is entitled to a well-rounded and diverse education that celebrates our multicultural society, and it's important that we implement that and we change our curriculum to meet this new way of thinking. I'm now going to hand over to Manvi. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Manvi and I'm a student at the University of Nottingham, and this issue is really important to me as a person from the BAME community who the curriculum often doesn't represent and kind of can misrepresent as well.
Thank you. Thank you everyone here this afternoon involved directly in education, whether you're an educator, a young person, a parent. We know how challenging a time this is, and the fact that you're here speaks to the importance of the issues we are seeking to make a change on. Charlotte?
Hi, yes, it's great to have Nadia Whittome joining us this evening. She's currently in Parliament at the moment, so whilst we wait for her to join, we're going to hand over to our Better Books campaign and to Jerome and Neil, who are going to share the developments on this. So I'll hand over to you, Jerome.
Of course. Good afternoon, thank you so much. So my name is Jerome Edwards, Director of Matthew 2540, and last year saw an introduction to a large variety of conversations, especially regarding race. Nottingham citizens, along with our organisation, facilitated some of these conversations, and after listening, education was found to be one of the key factors. And this is, I guess, why we're all here today. One of the quotes which has been fairly pertinent is, "If you can't see it, you therefore can't be it." So thus was born the NC Better Books campaign. NC Better Books plans to get diverse primary books into primary schools, and thus far it's been very successful. So we've raised just over £1,700 within the first 10 days. And without any further ado from me, we're just about to see the NC Better Books campaign video.
When you get to know other people's languages and other things, then your mind normally opens up.
As an educator, I have seen students whose confidence have been affected, impacted by a sense of exclusion in the education system.
There were no books to reflect my heritage. How do you expect BAME students to have role models and be inspired by people that don't look like them.
There was nobody that looked like me. You know, when I say me, I mean, you know, there was nobody black.
It just felt like my kids were not feeling included. I don't know whether they felt like that, but I did.
When we grow up, we're going to make lots of new friends, and to be friends with them, we're going to want to know what they do in their lives and what's different.
And it's the benefit of being older that you can see the bigger picture.
I just want to see a better world with acceptance of people for who they are. Really, I just want my girls to see people in their books that represent all people of all skin tones, backgrounds and cultures.
You should always respect everybody, no matter who they are and what they do.
What it does, it says to them, I'm included, I am valued, and my face matters, my culture matters, my people matter.
It is absolutely imperative that we address beliefs, attitudes and prejudices in primary school level.
Having access to the knowledge is the biggest enabler, meaning that most people can do most things to a very high standard.
Equality is not given to you, you've got to fight for it.
And so we need books to reflect that society, that culture, and that group of people. And it's not the case as it is right now. I've often told my students, if you don't see it, you cannot be it.
How are other people going to give them a chance as well? Because it's like, oh, you don't fit the mold. It's like, no, everyone, the mold is different. Break the mold. Include so many different colours and shapes and sizes, you know. It's what makes life interesting and amazing.
Hi, so my name's Neil Fern. I'm from the Running Hut, which is an organisation based in St Anne's, and we would love it if you would consider donating to this campaign. We're going to post a link to it in the chat so that you can all access it, and we'd also love it if you could share it as widely as possible with friends and schools on social media and in any way that you can to help us hit this £10,000 target, which would enable us to put a set of diverse books into every single primary school across this city. You can donate £7 for one book, £35 for a bookshelf, or £175 would give the books that we need to give to an entire school. So please support it and promote this campaign because that's what's going to make the difference to us reaching that target and giving the money to all the schools. But we're actually in the Better Books campaign. We're not just going to stop at raising the money for these books. In May, we want to gather together teams of people at every single library across the city. That's 27 libraries altogether. And we want to walk or run into the city centre to highlight this issue of book diversity to the city council, and to ask them to make sure that the book stock that they have in the new central library and in libraries across the city is as diverse as the city in which we live in. So we would love it if you would want to lead a walk or a run from your local library. Heidi's going to post her email in the chat, so you can email her your name and we will get in touch with you about leading a walk or a run. Or if you want to just come and join us on one of those walks or runs to help to highlight this issue and really start to make a change in the books that our children and adults across the city see in our public libraries. So I think I'm going to hand back to Manvi now for the next section.
Sorry, can you hear me? Thank you very much, Neil and Jerome. That was a really powerful video about representation, and it shows us why this project is so significant. And it's really positive to see that so many people have already been donating to the campaign. And, you know, there's some actions we can be taking going forward as well. It's really positive to see.
Thank you, Mamdi. So in December, we met for our first curriculum roundtable, at which the themes were shared emerging from our listening. We heard more stories that afternoon, and since that time, our Better Learning Action team have continued to work on a strategy for change. Our ambitious vision is this: for Nottingham to be known as a place where our educational institutions are taking the lead on creating an anti-racist curriculum and an anti-racist inclusive teaching environment. Charlotte?
Thanks, Mitzvah. Yeah, so this is more than promoting diversity and inclusion, which are obviously important. It is about proactively changing the structures that uphold racism. It's about equity and justice, ensuring that voices are heard and responded to. And this is our vision because throughout ongoing listening, two core issues have emerged time and time again. The first is educator confidence. Across every sector, we've heard stories of educators feeling ill-equipped to deal with the subject of race in the learning environment. Educators have spoken of the need for greater training about racism, around language, around managing difficult conversations, and around creating safe spaces for young people and the educators, Black and white themselves. And secondly, and most obviously, change is needed to the content of the curriculum itself. So it's not just in history, but it's cross-curricular. And it also really does celebrate diversity and multiculturalism. Manvi, over to you.
Our next question was kind of what do we need to make change on these issues? They're of course really complex and they're not easily fixed. And we also know that it's going to take a really united effort, needing us to commit both individual and collective action. Some of you are already
You okay, Manvi? Shall I?
Mandy's having an issue with audio. Do you want to take over, Charlotte?
Yeah. So we were, so Manvi was talking about what do we need to do to make change on these issues, and that these issues are of course complex and they're not easily fixed. And we also know that it's going to take a united effort as we all commit to both individual and collective action. We're aware that some of you are already doing that, and I'm just going to ask Steph Sullivan to share what work has started around initial teacher training to address the issue of teacher confidence, educator confidence. Steph, over to you.
Thanks, Charlotte. Hello, everyone. So I'm Steph Sullivan, and I'm the Director of Initial Teacher Education at the University of Nottingham. We've had one initial meeting where we're trying to get all the IT providers in the region together. Obviously that will take time, but we had a good first presence and we had a really interesting conversation. We talked about what anti-racist education meant for us as IT providers. We began to share our current practices and discuss challenges. And we ended the meeting by coming to the conclusion that we've got a real appetite to work collaboratively and to begin to think how we might work together to develop a shared set of principles that we'd all agree to and work within. We've got another meeting signed up. We're hoping we'll get more set up, and we're hoping we'll get more providers join us. But it was a good start. Thanks, Charlotte.
Thank you very much for that, Steph. We hope that you will all leave having identified at least one action that you're going to take in context to further this agenda. There is a Mentimeter at the end that you can all access to note down some of these ideas and some positive feedback. We know that many of you are key leaders that form institutions with particular influence, including multi-academy trusts, political leaders, key figures from our higher education establishments and others. and this influence can really be harnessed in support of this really ambitious vision. Many of these key individuals have already gathered together to form the Educational Partnership Board, formerly known as the Educational Improvement Board. The EPB is a collaboration between Nottingham's leading educational institutions and the political leadership that works together on these long-term strategies that we need to support young people through the education system.
Thanks, Manvi. So we also know that the arts organizations in the city have been working on culturally diverse experiences for young people through the work to develop the cultural rucksack. And there is much we can build on and bring to the board from what we are sharing tonight. We're delighted to have two of its members with us this evening. A big Nottingham citizens welcome to John Dexter, Director of Education at Nottingham City Council, and Wayne Norrie, CEO of Greenwood Academies Trust. Welcome to both of you, and we look forward to hearing from you later. We believe the voice of communities should be at the table, working with educational and political leaders for the good of our young people. And so tonight, we seek to build public relationships towards our two main asks. Firstly, for education leaders via the Education Partnership Board to make a shared commitment to ensure educators are properly supported and resourced in both their initial training and their ongoing CPD. Secondly, a commitment from education leaders via the Education Partnership Board to build an action plan with us to deliver an anti-racist curriculum to all Nottingham young people.
Firstly, to give this some more context, we're going to hear some reflections and stories from across the Nottingham community, which speak to the need for the action we have proposed. I'm going to invite Naomi to share first some of the findings of our local survey of young people.
Thank you, Charlotte. So, as part of Nottingham Citizens and this action team, we wanted to hear from our young people, to listen to the voices of our students aged 11 plus who are in education. So we put out a survey to the young people within our member organisations, and from it we had just like around 55 responses, and that's still rising. And of these responses, over half of the students were aged 11 in the 11 to 13 bracket, so our youngest of secondary education. And here are some of their results and quotes taken from their responses. Yes, as you can see, they had a lot to say about their curriculum and their education. So we found that most of them wanted to learn more about other cultures and their history in the curriculum. And over half, 56%, wanted their teachers to have more training in anti-racism and safeguarding, and some of the more detailed responses of that survey suggested that they could see that, yeah, in some of their experiences, their teachers didn't seem as confident or sure how to handle conversations around race and safeguarding in the classroom, which was in line and corresponds with what we've learned from the teachers that we've spoken to as well. We also found that when wanting to hear from, have we got the next slide, Pete? Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We also had like some more detailed responses from them where they were able to share some of their own experiences and in kind of how they feel about the curriculum and the content of it. And this is some of the quotes from that. The main overall sense was that they just don't have, they want to know more. They feel like everything is through a white Eurocentric lens, and they'd like to see things from other perspectives. And this slide is one of the most interesting. So 27% of the respondents said they were unsure about where to go for help about issues regarding racism and misrepresentation within their school. They didn't know where to go if they had an issue, and that's quite a high percentage. And of that survey, and that question, 14.2% didn't even answer the question, and some of them said they were unsure, like 10% weren't sure. So it felt like maybe there's more scope for kind of looking into how we can better support our students within the school. And yeah, the most interesting thing I think we found was that those who said the curriculum did represent them, which was a very small percentage of the people who responded, around 27%, they went on to expand that yes, it does represent them, but it's because I'm white, and that was on most of the responses from that 27%, which really shows that this is across all our student population are really wanting to see some change in their curriculum, and the majority of these voices are 11 to 13-year-olds, and it just demonstrates the need for the change we're fighting for. So I'll just pass over to Mitzi now. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Naomi. Wow, 11 to 13-year-old. That is just so telling, and that is exciting that even the 11 to 13-year-olds are being involved in something like this. But these are not just statistics or quotes or numbers on a screen. They are people with stories and experiences. Now, as a parent, I came to realize that what my child was taught at school was more important than what I said. Oftentimes, I would constantly hear things like, "No, mommy, the teacher said." And whether I liked it or not, I had to give in to what the teacher said. Now, this tells me that what these students are taught in school is very important. These are not only 40 minutes of a lecture or lessons, as the case might be, but it's an opportunity to shape, to fashion, and to prepare them to function successfully as responsible citizens in anyone's society. So in my eyes, any amendment to the curriculum that speaks positively to the child is the way forward. And for that reason, this curriculum initiative is very important to me as a parent. I'll now ask Olivia to share her experience.
Hi everyone, as mentioned, I'm Olivia and I am a current final year sociology student at Nottingham University. Thank you for allowing me to speak at this roundtable today. I am pleased that you value the importance of students' contributions to your discussions. I was privileged to take part in a project last year as part of my degree, looking at decolonising the curriculum within the university. The results from this project showed that engaging students in conversations around race and racism within the curriculum is very important, because students need to have a voice as they have unique perspectives from a variety of experiences, both inside and outside of the classroom. Also, those who are in positions of teaching need to engage in these dialogues, as they are the ones reproducing this knowledge to students. Throughout my own experiences within the education system, I believe that there has been a lack of representation in the curriculum, especially for me being a Black female. I've often struggled and questioned, where am I being represented in books and research? And having a lack of this has meant I've never really had role models to look up to that positively reflect my identity. So rather than having a white-based Eurocentric curriculum, the truth needs to be heard so people are given and are able to make their own opinions and judgments. Students and children should be given a truthful and reliable look on British culture, one that does not obscure or conceal the realities of the exploitative and oppressive structures in society, because there should be no real bias in the curriculum and in education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olivia. Up next, we're going to hear from Ruth about how the school is working on these issues.
Thanks, Manvi. So I'm Ruth from Nottingham Girls Academy, and I'm here with Rania, and obviously Wayne is our CEO, who's here tonight as well, and Sana, and in fact Mitzi as well. Her daughter Judea is in our school. So we last year started an equality curriculum which aimed to challenge, support and respond to the reflections that would be made about the diversity and the representation in the curriculum. So faculties have revisited their individual curricula, identifying changes. I know that in history, for example, at the moment, Ms Richardson has started looking at the scheme of learning and has expanded the area of British Empire to look at the impact of British Empire, not just, you know, look at what they did, aren't they great? It's about the impact on those countries that they colonised, invaded. In terms of training for staff as well, we have got our first University of Nottingham with the Nottingham Slavery Links training on Thursday evening. So a couple of us are taking part in that, and we've also fed back to James Dawkins at the University of Nottingham a little bit of feedback about the terminology for the glossary that he's putting together for teachers. So we're trying to get on board with the training. There will be more CPD on that as this evolves. Sana and Judea, in fact, Mitzi's daughter, are leading with our Citizens Academy, and we've also formed some equality groups that we hope that Sana and Judea will help with in year 9 and 10. That was shelved briefly because of COVID, but once we're back into the swing of things, that will get going as well. Judea's book, My Box of Crayons, was published as well, although we can't take any credit for the penmanship of that. But we've got quite a few things in pipeline, and I think we've made a decent start.
Thank you very much, Ruth. It's really positive to see that, you know, so many things and actions have been, you know, put in place. Next up, can I please invite Nigel to talk about the need for the focus on educator confidence?
Okay, thanks. I work at the University of Nottingham teaching the School of Geography, and I feel a little bit of an outsider to Nottingham because I'm kind of relatively new there. But I think that the kind of focus I would like to take on this is that by not being confident, by delaying and saying we can't do anything until we've been trained, we create unsafe spaces in our universities. And we see instances where that happens. And what happens then in the space of a university is that individual students who are being bullied or feeling harassed or so on have to seek informal support from individuals that they know on campus. And our institutions don't actually recognize that. And I think that's a real challenge. And the way that they learn to recognize that is by the action of our students. So I think the shock in institutions like the University of Nottingham with the Black Lives Matter protests kick-started a whole set of actions that may focus on compliance but begin to pressure the university. And I think what my message really to you is to keep up the struggle, to take on your institution's demand that they create the spaces that you need. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nigel. That's, you know, really important to, you know, hear and understand that. Next up, can I please ask Sana to share about the need for the focus on the curriculum?
Hello everyone, Sana here from Nottingham Girls Academy. Some of the changes that I want to see in the curriculum to make it more diverse and inclusive for anyone to learn and gain knowledge from is to see, read and hear people in which that are more like me and my other peers from the Black and ethnic minority groups. I want to be proud of how diverse Britain is and appreciate these religions without always only seeing them from a white European perspective. I would like to see colour in the curriculum, in which the curriculum explains about colonialism and racism. At the moment, I feel that the curriculum is narrowed in its visions and rejects the contributions that Black and varied ethnic communities make to the foundations of our society. We have a curriculum that views racism as something that has happened in the past and does not acknowledge that it's happening right now and that we are currently living through it. I feel like I'm dumb when I ask questions about cultures that I possibly should know about. So we need as many books and resources as possible to learn and gain knowledge about the people around us. Change needs to be made so I and other students are not embarrassed. I say now because this is a time period where everyone knows that there is something wrong with the lack of diversity in the curriculum and the lack of diversity representation everywhere. As a student of colour, as a woman of colour, I know how important representation is. I know how it feels to want to see someone who looks like you in certain positions. How do you expect students to go on to do big things if they cannot see someone like them? You cannot be what you cannot see. However, seeing someone in colour doing ordinary and extraordinary things gives us motivation and determination to be the greatest we can be. It gives us high hope that we can achieve anything and everything, just like our fellow friends. If you see it, you can be it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sana. It's really important that we have that personal take on it. It's really important to hear the young people's voices. So next up, let's hear from Nika, who's going to share some of her experiences and kind of talk about the issue.
Hiya. I'd say with my experiences, I'd love to see a lot more like facilities and programs, communities in support of like mental health, especially with the Black community, as it's like overshadowed. I'd say some of the like things with racism that do have an effect on people's mental health, especially I'd say like with my experience, definitely mine. So I'd love to see a lot more like communities embracing the fact that mental health is about, and it is about. So I'd love to see mental health with, sorry, a bit nervous. So definitely mental health teams and a lot more training in like teaching facilities as well, to like at least destigmatize racism as well.
That's great, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you everybody for sharing your reflections and stories. And it really highlights that there is some amazing work that is being done around developing an anti-racist curriculum, but there are also huge gaps as well. So next we're going to listen to the reactions from John and Wayne, and we'd like to thank you for all you're already doing in the city to support young people and educators, especially at such a challenging time. We're also really keen to hear your responses to what you've heard so far this evening. So John, I'm handing over to you.
Wow, well, hi everybody. Oh gosh, I've just gone really big on the screen, that's scary. Don't do that. Spotlight, don't like that. First of all, I just want to say there's so much of what you said rings true with what we would all want to do in the city. And I also want to say I think you're pushing at a relatively open door in terms of a lot of the leadership around the city in education. And you've seen that in little glimpses tonight. But your voice and us all hearing that voice and reacting to it is really, really important. So I think it takes a little bit of time just to reflect on what we've been hearing and to think how we make and get some action out of it, not just sort of policies and discussion. You want to see some action. I think for me, one of the great things is some case studies, and we can do that around the schools. We've heard from Nottingham Girls Academy, and there'll be a lot of good practice around the city which we want to try and capture and share round, and I think the partnership board would be very keen to do that. And that might go a step further as we come out of lockdown and people can go and visit and talk to each other a bit more about that, but with you there as well. So kind of, I think it's important, as well as the professionals and we professionals, I'm an ex-teacher, we still have a lot to do and a lot to learn. And I think sometimes teachers are a bit scared about that. They don't know how to handle some of the things and where to go. So the training aspects you've mentioned are also pretty vital. But in terms of role models, I mean, you just have to look around the screen, don't you? I mean, that's it's just great to see and to hear from you this evening. So I'm very positive about what you're doing. There's a long tradition in the city to try and ensure as best as within our control that the curriculum does meet need, but there's also kind of rules around it that make it a bit of a challenge. But within, for example, a pastoral curriculum, within the support that is needed for young people, all young people really, and especially as we come out of lockdown, we need to look at that. So we need to visit these things, and we need to keep it on our agenda and alive. I think I'll finish there because I'm very enthusiastic about it, but I'm also keen that we hear your voice and get the voice of young people into this. So I really appreciate being here. I apologise that I wasn't able to be at your first meeting, and I look forward to working with you. We're not going to solve this tonight. It's not like that, but it's an ongoing work, and we're slowly pushing, perhaps not as fast as you would want, but we will push the thing forward. So thank you very much, Charlotte.
Thank you. Thank you, John. And now handing over to Wayne.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Charlotte. Thanks, John, for that. I think there is a wider issue here at the moment about the entirety of the curriculum. And I think that we're pushing at an open door here, because I now think for the first time ever, parents have seen what the curriculum is that their children have to learn, particularly primary school children, particularly learning about some of the grammar. If I was to say to many adults here, what's an onomatopoeia? Some of you may or may not be able to answer that question, but it's about how we regain a curriculum that's fit for purpose. And we have to remember, and I'm very aware this is recorded, so I'm not saying anything I wouldn't say. This is a curriculum in this country that is written by predominantly white people that have predominantly been privately educated. And you can see that in the terminal examination. So now is the time for us to be very bold and to be very brave about our curriculum and to look at our curriculum around equality. It saddens me greatly that we're in 2021 and one of our colleagues on this call has said, you have to fight for equality. And it's 2021. If you can't see it, you can't be it. And it's 2021. And I think that what we need to be really clear about is what we want in our curriculum, be very clear about our asks. And our ask is about equality for all. So, we're talking race, we're talking gender, we're talking members of the LGBTQ community, and how a curriculum responds to that. I think we also have to be very mindful of the fact that some people are very nervous. So if you look at me, I am a white middle-class male going into a world where I have no lived experience, okay? Maybe not middle class for those of you who know me, because I'm Wayne from Bulwell and I grew up on a very nice council estate. But there is something that John was saying around the language and nervousness of people, particularly people like me preaching to people. I don't think there's diversity of voices in decision making, and certainly not a diversity of voices when decision making that counts. And I think you've heard tonight that we have across the city, not just in I am bursting with pride tonight to see some of our students speak so eloquently. I had a fabulous meeting with Sana only the other week around how we can make the change. And I think we need to be starting with the voices of those people. So I think in essence, I'd say now is the time. I think now is the time to move, because I think people have got first-hand look at this curriculum. We need to be very mindful about the diversity of voices, but the nervousness, okay, of people in the city, particularly around not wanting to preach. Be very clear about our asks. So what is it we're asking for? It's often better to have a small number of asks and some very successful programs and pilots that gain traction, because success breeds success and confidence. And I make a real plea here that the voices that we need to listen to are, yes, our youngest children, but by 11, it's too late. So actually we need to be starting to listen to those voices when our children enter the system at 3 and 4 and 5, and build that progressive journey through the curriculum about how we work together to gain equality. And I'm delighted to be here, and if I'm invited back, very much like to come next time and see what we can do as a large multi-academy trust in the city, because we actually oversee quite a lot. We see nearly a third of the secondary schools in the city belong in our family, so we can be a real voice in this, and thank you very much for having me along.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you. Sana, do you want to share?
Yes, thank you. After hearing about the progress on all the work we are doing, the start of work that we are doing with trainee teachers, and the fact that the Education Partnership Board will work with us and having 2 of its members here tonight, thank you both for turning up and showing your support. And also having Nadia Whittome co-hosting this with us. I feel very encouraged by the effort you all are giving, and we hope this effort continues for the students, staff, parents, and to make society whole once again. I feel enlightened that you guys have joined tonight, as it shows how willing you are to create and make change, and that you're serious in creating a better future. That's why I have committed to being here tonight, to make the curriculum open for many students to know about their peers and to educate them about their fit in society and how they matter and are connected without feeling misrepresented. Society wouldn't be what it should be without this work. We are pleased to hear Mr. Norrie and Mr. Dexter state how they will take this issue seriously and will work alongside us to create a new and better now. We all want to see things for the greater good, so please do help us in achieving this. At this moment of time, another thing that is important to me is everyone present in this room, because you all are showing commitment and dedication to create changes for the common good. Everyone has took time out of the afternoon to be in solidarity with one another. Also, other important people are the many people that have been working behind the scenes to bring about change, and most importantly, to get this event up and running to make it a success. These people have been working hard throughout to help society become somewhat fair again, and to make the future a place we all want to live in. Thank you.
Thank you, Sana. I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Mr. John Dexter, for your enthusiasm and listening and your commitment to this being an ongoing work. We appreciate that. I want to say thank you to Mr. Wayne Norrie for your honesty and your encouragement for us to be brave and bold in 2021. And Sana, thank you so much for your continued passion and commitment as one of our young voices of change in Nottingham. We truly appreciate you. At this time, we're gonna invite Miss Nadia Whittome, our MP, to speak to us at this time.
Thank you so much, Mitzi. Just checking that everyone can hear me okay, because my internet connection seems to be a bit unstable, so I hope that it holds out. I've been trying to connect to 4G but can't. Firstly, please accept my apologies for not having been here for the beginning. I'm sure Pete or Mitzi will have explained that I was called to the chamber to speak in today's policing bill debate. So some of it, and I'll look forward to reading the notes on the contributions that people have made. So I've been asked to speak a little bit about why I think this is so important. And as someone who was not at school that long ago, I remember the curriculum that we had, I think the same as it is now, and the fact that it just wasn't representative of the whole spectrum of British history, and people of colour in particular were very much excluded from the curriculum. And I think we learn about our history through the lens of like colonialism, but not the full picture. So the only contributions that we knew about of Black Britons was slavery, but not about things like the Bristol bus boycott and the fact that, you know, Windrush, and the fact that this country has been built on the backs of Black labour and people of colour. So that's why I've been really keen to support this work and to work alongside citizens. And Sana, it's a real pleasure to hear you speak and why this is important to you. And I'm looking forward to us working together in particular. A bit about national developments. So had we had a Labour government, this was this was one of our manifesto pledges, that we would broaden the curriculum in partnership with teachers, with students. It's no surprise that the Tory government isn't interested in doing that, but in fact, even worse than that, they're waging what some people call a culture war. So you might have heard them, I'm sure you have, speaking about free speech and the importance of free speech, which of course we all think free speech is important, but it's only free speech when convenient to them and their agenda. So one of the things that they've been cracking down on has been critical race theory, so teaching about racism as a structural issue. And I think that shows really the scale of what we're up against with this government, that they're very much opposed to any kind of broadening of the curriculum and anything that I think is honest about British history, the good and the bad. But there are a large number of Labour MPs who have been campaigning on this. Virendra Sharma, one of the London MPs, has prominently been campaigning on this. And we continue to lobby the government for better when it comes to education. But of course, you'll have seen Gavin Williamson's track record and his whole litany of failures. And this is one of very, very many. I would just like to plug, before I finish, the Better Books and the Better Books video and campaign. This is another campaign that Citizens is running, and it's fantastic, particularly in a city like Nottingham, where we have quite high levels of deprivation. Citizens is aiming to gift a set of books that are diverse in sort of characters and content to every one of our 76 primary schools in Nottingham City. And that's really important, because in the absence of any government action on broadening the curriculum, and even worse than that, the government pushing back against broadening the curriculum, it's more important than ever that civil society groups like Citizens are acting. And of course, it would be remiss not to say that it's fantastic to be joined by Wayne Norrie and other educators who will play a really important role in developing this in our city.
Thank you very much for that kind of summing up of exactly what's going on and your kind of commitment to what we're doing, Nadia. It was, really kind of promising to see that you're completely on our side about this. I think I'm going to pass over to Mitzi to talk about the breakout rooms next.
Thank you, Manvi. I think we're going to go to breakout room for about 5 minutes just to get some reactions, sense how people are feeling, and any additional thoughts and ideas that we could glean.
Hi everyone. I hope you got to share some reactions in the breakout rooms, and kind of got to express how you were feeling about what we've talked about today. I know I definitely did. I think our last act together tonight is going to be to take some action, and we're going to do that by showing our shared support for the vision of the Better Learning campaign by doing a Twitter post together. And to explain how this is going to work, I'm going to hand over to Kathy.
Hi everybody. So we want to have this moment where we take a photo of the Zoom screen and all of our support for this campaign. So I'd like everybody, I hope that you've all found a marker and a piece of paper. So grab your paper, draw a big heart in the middle of it, as so, and jot down the words "I choose to support," #NC Better Learning because, and then if you could think of why it's important to you to be supporting this inclusive education locally, then jot down your thoughts. You can make it as colourful as you like. If you've got colours, make it colourful, make it snazzy. But it'd be brilliant if you could hold this all up, take a few moments, and then I think Heidi's going to take a photo of all of us, holding up our reasons for supporting this really important work that's happening across the city. So as soon as you're ready, I choose to support NC Better Learning because, and then hold up your paper to the screen. Thanks everybody.
You're going to take off spotlight, Pete.
That's it. You could peep over the top if you like. We could just have some eyes and nose showing. Or just take, if you don't want to be in the picture, then just hold it right up there.
Pete, are you going to take off spotlight so I've got everybody?
I think it's just your view, Heidi. Someone else tell me you can see the whole screen, please.
Yeah. I've only just sourced a piece of paper. Would you mind waiting for me?
Of course, yeah.
Oh God, the pressure's on. Okay.
Think of why it's important to you. It'll be different for all of us, I suppose.
Oh, yeah. Right, got it.
Hang on. While everyone's doing that, I'm just going to say that later on, I think we've got a Mentimeter up where you can add a message to the EPB, and you can basically just add there's going to be a QR code that comes up in a bit, and you can go to Menti, and there's a code I'll say later that you can put on your positive messages about this, and hopefully that'll show up in a minute.
So Heidi, are you ready to take a photo?
I'm ready, but I've still got screens without bits of paper, so we'll. Okay.
So if everybody holds up their paper.
3. Keep it held up because I'm going to do a couple of screens.
Sorry, I haven't finished mine yet.
I'll come back.
Okay.
Hold them nice and close.
Yeah.
And maybe it would be really lovely if you could write down those reasons in the chat as well, just in case we've missed any with the little writing. That would be really great. Is everyone there?
Waiting for Nadia's dissertation, I think.
Keep it simple.
Come on, Nadia, we've got aching arms here.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's because I'm not used to writing.
Oh.
You should be used to waving your arms around, conductor.
Okay, done.
Yeah, but I've not done that for a year.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, everybody. Heidi, have you got your photo?
Yeah, I've got some photos. I'm sure we can use something. And feel free to tweet your own photo as well, or your own piece of paper later separately. That'd be great.
Yeah, and if you want to write down in the chat what you've written, just to make sure we capture it all, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, this is the Mentimeter I was telling everyone about. So you can kind of share your positive message to the EPB, you know, kind of about what they're doing, about what you hope. It's kind of up to you, but you know, it'd be really great if everyone could kind of do that. And you can do that by scanning the QR code or kind of going to menti.com and typing that code in, and that should kind of let you be onto that. Yeah. If you prefer to put your message in the chat, that would also be fine. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, everyone. I'm sure we're feeling excited and energized and hopeful about this initiative. But at this time, I'm going to hand back to Nadia for her final reflection on what she has heard. Nadia?
Thank you, Mitzi. I don't feel particularly well equipped to give full reflections because I've unfortunately missed so much of what's been discussed. But I think from what I have heard and from our group, there's a lot of hope and positivity about what we can achieve together. And none of us are under any illusion that the government is going to do this stuff for us. In fact, we're working against a government that's pretty hostile to what we're trying to do. But in Nottingham, we've got a lot of people, educators, the City Council, groups like Citizens and pupils and students themselves who want a better, fuller curriculum. And we deserve that. And I think at a local level, we have the commitment and ambition to deliver that. So let's keep working together. I've been really encouraged by Wayne and your commitment, and also your commitment, John. And I understand that the council's in a very difficult position at the moment, and usually the council would be fully behind this, and I know that politically they are, but I understand that it's not going to be so possible to fund this in the way that the council would like. But that doesn't mean that we can't keep taking action and coordination locally. So let's keep working together, and I'm looking forward to the next event. Are people okay if I take a screenshot? Okay, grand. Sorry. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Oh gosh, it's gone off my screen. Okay, 1, 2, 3. There we go.
That's great. Thanks, Nadia. Yeah, and everything that you said, everything that everybody has said, I don't know about you, but I feel really enthusiastic and energized in driving change and developing an anti-racist curriculum in Nottingham, across Nottingham. Yeah, so thank you, John, and thank you, Wayne, and thank you for everybody who shared their stories as well and their reflections. So what's next? We have heard so much about the progress to make change on these issues. We have a commitment from the senior leaders to engage with the Education Partnership Board with us. You've been including your messages on the chat and also on the Menti board, which we can share with you, John and Wayne. We can keep you updated through our newsletter. Heidi's put in the chat. She's put in the, yeah, we've got websites, so citizensuk.org, Twitter, all social media, to keep pushing this agenda forward. Yeah, if anyone would like to stay behind for a short evaluation, which will help us to develop and learn, and please do stay in the Zoom room. But thank you so much, everybody, for today for our second curriculum roundtable. Thank you.